Hi everyone, I'm Rita, the Chief Editor for Yahoo Live Southeast Asia. And for today's episode of We Chat With, we have a special guest. And his name is Joel, but you may recognize him as Gentle Bones.
Hi Rita, nice to meet you.
So for curious people out there, why did you come up with the name Gentle Bones?
It's not a very fancy answer that I have. I was 16. My name is Joel Tan. In Singapore, it's a very, very common name. So I needed something to tag along with the music that I was trying to upload. So I thought of a moniker called Gentle Bones. And I think, it's been working well for me so far. And I think it's a good way for my music to be more recognizable. And I think it's been very nice.
And how would you describe yourself when people see you for the first time?
How would I describe myself?
Yeah.
Would be, I think, from what I've realized, I'm not as serious as I look.
Yeah, on stage you are just very focused and maybe
very
have
focused.
Another personality that you have.
Yeah, I would say I'm very much, I love music a lot and I'm a big fan of music. So I do tend to set myself up with the same expectations that I put on my favorite artist, for example. So, but in general, I think I'm quite fun, quite nice.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay, what sort of fun are you looking at? Like activities in Singapore? Are you an outdoorsy person?
I think fun-wise, I believe joy can be found anywhere. So I wouldn't limit it to an activity or a person. But I feel like I'm making the most out of everything, finding joy in that. This is how I am joyful.
That's pretty philosophical. So, you're releasing your album after 8 years, so why? Why so?
It's actually been another not very fancy answer. It's been budget issues, timeline issues, also creative kind of changes and switches. It's kind of wanting to try new genres. So every time I release an EP and single, I always think okay, it's time to put out an album. But then it always doesn't end up happening. So I think after 8 years, I've also kind of been very privileged to be able to craft out music that I feel genuinely can be called really gentle bones kind of music. So that allowed me to just really take the leap and not be bounded by any genre or any expectation, but really just to create music that genuinely comes from me. And I think what I'm really proud of is also, I think for the first time in my career, I'm really making music that I feel that I want to listen to that's not out there. And so it's been a ride.
Yeah. And having worked with Jasmine Sokko on this album, what's the working relationship like?
Jasmine is one of the most talented songwriters and producers that I know. She's been a huge influence for me in a sense that she actually, the way she did her electronic music and the way she burst out on the scene, actually inspired me a lot into delving deeper into the electronic music world, to really try to understand it. And she's really actually inspired me and influenced me on many of my songs. So to be able to get together with her and create, it was quite a seamless process actually. I think we wrote this song in 2 separate days. And then we put the song together in terms of melody and lyrics. And then the production was done by Homeground Studios, and it was just a beautiful process.
That sounds amazing. So you guys have not met, but you met, just for the first time for this project, or you guys been friends before that?
Yeah, we've met quite a number of times. The industry, through the industry or through playing shows together, in same venues, and obviously she knows that I've been a fan for a long time. So it's just very nice to work together.
That's amazing. Yeah. And what drew you to write the dance track Help?
What drew me to write this song Help was really just based off the idea that I want to work with an artist that I really respect, and just to allow whatever that comes out of the writing session to come out. And I think that's why Help came out. And it's we wanted to do our own take on what we feel a love song could be. And yeah, I think that's why Help came out, and just a very straightforward kind of recognition. It's a straightforward message that, you know, sometimes it's quite nice when you have feelings with somebody and then you realize that the feelings are actually already being reciprocated, and it's just very straightforward, and there's no pushing and pulling. You know, it's very much just a coming together, and that's the kind of love song that we want to help to be.
Do you think this was written from your own personal experience or from your friends?
Yeah, for sure. I think based off a lot of personal experiences, and also, you know, as with any form of writing, it's also a dramatization of emotion, you know. It's also kind of just a celebration of certain experiences. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
And you know, we've noticed you've even included a couple of Mandarin track songs. I don't think you've ever done that before. So why Mandarin?
I've been a huge fan of Mandarin songs my whole life. Grew up karaoke, you know, a lot of JJ Lin songs.
Nice.
Yeah, I think as we all do, you know, a lot of J Cho, you know. Karaoke has always been a staple of a certain lifestyle for me and among my friends or my family. So I've always wanted to sing Mandarin music, but I think it wasn't really the right time. I was more comfortable writing English music until I got to a point where I felt that, you know, my music, like I said just now, my sound, Gentle Bones' sound was kind of more stabilized and more certain to me then. And then once I had a good grasp of it, I think it was just a matter of changing the language. So it's quite like, you know, it was not as tricky a process as it would have been before. So like putting the songs together and then just switching up the language was just a beautiful thing, because I feel like music shouldn't be limited by any form of language, and I think that's why we like Korean K-pop music so much.
Oh yeah. So do you think you would even sing in K-pop and Korean songs?
No.
No boundaries.
No, actually, because you know, I feel like it's singing Mandarin music still very much authentic to what I know and the language that I understand and am able to express properly, because, you know, we grew up with two languages.
Yep.
You know, one English, one Mandarin, or Bahasa, for example. And for me, Chinese was my second language.
Okay, so, you know, back to where we started off, you know, your songs, and we're in this climate, a very challenging climate, I would say. And would you say, you know, the pandemic has changed your priorities, and how so?
It's definitely kind of forced us artists, especially myself, into more of a box, because now we're not able to play live shows. We're not able to reach out and present our music in a live setting. So that really kind of forces us into more of a creation box. But I think I've tried to extract like the more positive sides of it. And what I've come to find is that, you know, I've never been able to have so much time or so much space to really just enjoy songwriting again, like I did when I was 18, before I started.
And what, you're not 18 still?
Oh, I
You
wish.
still look so young.
I wish I was still 18. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so it allowed me to fall back in love with writing music again, which is the best part about it. And thankfully enough, it's also allowed artists to collaborate. Yeah. And that's a major portion of my debut album that I put out, where there's a lot of collaborations with many of the artists that I respect and able to learn from. And I think without us having a bit more time right now, I think these collaborations wouldn't have come together so beautifully and easily.
Yeah, for sure. And how would you say did you maintain your mental wellness during this period?
Maintain mental wellness. I guess seeing the positive side of things is always helpful. You know, being able to kind of work with the box that we're put in. You know, a literal box like our room, for example, during circuit breaker. I think just being able to make the most of what we're currently doing, I think is very important. And I think that's also part of the reason why I'm so proud of this album, because the album was actually created entirely through the past 1 year.
Wow.
So it was actually exactly during this period, and just been, just very proud of it, lah.
And I just want to go back to the part when you wish you were 18 again. Was there any part or moments in your life you wish you could redo again or relive again? And what are they? Because I hear a little sniggle there.
I wouldn't relive it for sure. I think it's nice. I'm glad we're talking right now, so I'm good. I'm good with right now. And obviously it would just be nice to be younger, so you have a bit more time and a bit more room for ignorance. And yeah. But other than that, I'm good with right now.
Yeah, you're pretty much settled, like at your current stage with what you're doing in life.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. I think, I think I'm doing quite a good job so far, and I think in a good place such that you will want to come interview me today. So
yeah, good stuff. And would you say this is your full-time job? Are you dabbling in other things as well?
Yeah, I guess like many different facets of this music career. Obviously, Gentle Bones is a very, very important project for me, and also the thing that has allowed me to come this far. And obviously, I'm also a big fan of songwriting alone, so I'm always writing with others, not just for my own projects, but for others as well. And hopefully able to just keep growing and keep learning and keep expanding my scope of musical and artistic understanding.
You say you were songwriting for other artists. Are they predominantly in Singapore or in South Asia?
Songwriting, it's been mostly Singapore so far. I think just...
Would you want to expand your horizons?
Yeah, for sure. I would love to be able to work with different artists and be able to put out music together. I think for me, it's very important when two people come together in a room to write. And that's the beautiful part about songwriting. Obviously, there are more straightforward methods, such as writing a full song and pitching it overseas, but I have not tried that yet.
Yeah. Okay. So why do you think that the arts and entertainment is still so important, amid this pandemic?
I think it's just really very much like a flip side of things, where it's also an acknowledgement of how essential other roles in society are right now. For example, frontliners, and then as you appreciate how all these people, all these frontliners, and even teachers that are out there still keeping schools going, when you appreciate what they're doing, then you also can kind of understand the role that entertainment is supposed to play right now, which I feel like it should be more of a supportive role, and that's what I'm trying to have my music do. Yeah.
Okay. What would you say to those, who doubt you as an artist?
Doubt. I understand it, I think you cannot expect anyone to get you, Sometimes you don't even really get yourself. So you need to kind of push through on your own vision. It's impossible to get someone else to believe in something that only you can see. So I guess doubt is very much like, I understand it, though.
I guess in a way as well, it's just to let your music speak for itself, the results, and so forth.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, so back to the Mandarin tracks. I think we'd like to hear a little bit of you singing, maybe perhaps a verse.
Oh yeah.
If you don't mind.
Yep. So this is 你还不知道 by myself and Day Koei. So it goes like. 我要一直的爱你，爱到想你，想到我变老， 只要每天每夜每分每秒看你笑，一直的爱你爱到那天荒地老，不要告诉我你还不知道。
Oh my God, I have goosebumps if I could show you right now.
Thank you.
That was amazing. Thank you, Joel.
Thanks for having me, Rita.
Yeah, so thanks again so much. We have Gentle Bones, aka Joel Tan, for We Chat With. And that's it. Stay tuned for the next episode.